From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, July the 11th, 2018. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in Moscow this evening to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Before departing Israel today, Netanyahu told reporters that the meeting was a very important one. He said, "We will discuss Syria, we will discuss Iran, we will discuss Israel's security needs." The Prime Minister will return to Israel tomorrow. Last night, Netanyahu met with Putin's special envoy, Alexander Lavrentiev, and with Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Vershinin in Israel. The Prime Minister's office released a statement on that meeting saying that Prime Minister Netanyahu made it clear that Israel will not tolerate a military presence by Iran or its proxies anywhere in Syria, and that Syria must strictly abide by the 1974 Separation of Forces Agreement. Today, the IDF shot down a drone from Syria that entered 3 miles into Israeli airspace. The IDF said using a Patriot battery, the IDF intercepted an unmanned aerial vehicle that infiltrated from Syria into Israeli territory. Fragments of the drone landed in the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee in northern Israel, and Israeli forces were working to retrieve it. The IDF said the drone had been identified early on and that they had been in full control as they monitored it, waiting for about 15 minutes before shooting it down. IDF spokesperson Jonathan Conricus explained the delay, saying that there was a question as to who was operating the drone. And after reportedly confirming specifically with Russia that it was not sent by them, and after making sure all conditions were met, the Army fired 1 Patriot missile and successfully brought the drone down. The IDF reiterated that it will not allow any violation of Israeli airspace and will act against any attempt to hurt its civilians. When the drone was first identified, sirens sounded across a number of communities in the Golan and in the Jordan Valley. The IDF later told residents they could return to their normal routine. An Israeli drone fired warning shots at a terrorist cell in Gaza, launching incendiary balloons into southern Israel. No injuries were reported. As we have been reporting to you, such balloons and kites have been flown over the Gaza security fence into southern Israel for several months, causing massive fires and damage. Later today in Gaza, a Palestinian man was arrested for trying to breach the security fence. He was found to be carrying lighter fluid and wire cutters. The IDF said the man sought to damage security infrastructure and soldiers. A Holocaust memorial was once again vandalized in the Greek city of Thessaloniki. The monument, which is located on the campus of Aristotle University, was smeared with blue paint and a cross painted on it. It is the second such attack in 2 weeks. The university called the incident an unacceptable action, saying that education is the solution to religious fanaticism and bigotry. The city's Jewish community said the vandalism was an insult and noted the necessary and successful efforts made by our community in cooperation with the authorities and institutions in our city and homeland to combat racism, anti-Semitism, intolerance, and fanaticism while restoring and promoting the history of Thessaloniki and its aspects on the centuries-old Jewish presence. The city was home to 55,000 Jews when the Nazis occupied it. Only 2,000 of those Jews survived the Holocaust. Well, outgoing Jewish Agency Chairman Natan Sharansky has added his voice condemning a controversial clause to a bill being considered by the Knesset. The so-called Jewish state bill includes a clause that would allow the state to, quote, authorize a community composed of people having the same faith and nationality to maintain the exclusive character of that community, seen as an attempt to allow towns in Israel to exclude groups like Arabs or Jewish groups of particular streams of Judaism. Israel's President Reuven Rivlin spoke out against the clause yesterday, saying it could harm the Jewish people worldwide. Rivlin said, "Do we want to support the discrimination and exclusion of men and women based on their ethnic origin?" Sharansky said today that the bill was supposed to support the idea that Israel is a national home for the entire Jewish people. He said while the nation-state law was originally intended to reinforce this principle, the most recent amendments to it are of great concern because they drive a wedge between Jews in Israel and in the diaspora. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, July 11th at 7 o'clock, we hear from President Rivlin, who discusses key issues in the Israel-diaspora relationship, followed by a panel discussion on the major challenges of that relationship, all from the 2017 Jewish Federation of North America's General Assembly. At 8, National Director Emeritus of the Anti-Defamation League, Abe Foxman, and former Ambassador Stuart Eisenstadt speak at the awards gala of the Foundation for the Preservation of Visual History of the Jewish People at the Museum of Jewish Heritage. At 9 o'clock, it's part 1 of Mark Golub's Sit Down with Richard Stone. Former chairman of the Conference of Presidents, Stone talks about his unique background growing up Jewish in Louisiana and how his desire for a more authentic Jewish life led him to become involved with the State of Israel. At 10 o'clock, we hear from historian David Kaufman from the Limud New York 2018 conference. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, July the 11th, 2018. I'm Teisha Bader.